It's definitely hard. There's no doubt about that. I think be ready to work, harder than you ever have before and be prepared for that level of commitment that comes with it. I think when I look at these individuals that we're talking to about purchasing their companies, the blood and sweat and tears that have gone into building their business is just so admirable to me to be able to see, knowing what they put into this to get themselves to where they are. And it's also very gratifying to be part of that moment where it pays off for them, and they
Right.
and they see the financial benefit of actually what they built turns into something else than just, hey, this is my job for the last
Right.
X number of years.
Hello, and welcome to the Elevator Careers Podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group. I am your host, Matt Allred. In this podcast, we talk to the people whose lives and careers are dedicated to the vertical transportation industry to inform and share lessons learned, building upon the foundation of those who have gone before to inspire the next generation of elevator careers. Today, our guest is Jeremy Metzger, CEO of Axxiom Elevator. Jeremy graduated from Penn State and joined the elevator industry with Kone as a sales rep with his first assignment in Tampa, Florida. After Kone, Jeremy spent over 15 years at Otis in multiple management roles, and following Otis, Jeremy spent 2 years as COO of Oracle Elevator. In 2023, Jeremy became one of the founding partners of Axxiom Elevator. Jeremy is excited about the future and is looking forward to partnering with independent owners who are seeking the support of a partner to help them take their businesses to the next level. This is part 2. So for the second half of the interview, let's talk a little bit about your business and Axxiom Elevator. You're a CEO, correct? What
Correct.
was it that kind of sent you on that path to say, hey, I want to create something new?
Yeah, so I think it really came down to but I did the kind of OEM for 20 plus years with both Kone and Otis. Loved my time there. Had a great experience with both. Some of the best people I've ever got to meet are people I've got to work with both those companies. So saw that aspect of elevator companies. I had the opportunity to be chief operating officer at the time was called Oracle Elevator.
Mm.
Um, they've now since changed their name, I think, to Elevated Services, and saw the independent side of the business for a couple of years. Really got my hands, dirty, getting involved in the day to day of that business and running a multi-branch independent company. Some similarities for sure to the OEMs, but also some other changes, some other things that were a little bit different. And so all positive learning experiences for me. They were a non-union company, so it gave me an opportunity to work with both the union and non-union side of the trade. So a lot of good learning. And so ultimately kind of sat down and said, I like they were also privately owned or private equity owned business.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I got some experience there and got to understand what that was about. So, sat down with one of your recent interviewees, Ed Stahowiak, who is an individual that I had the pleasure of working with for quite a few years at Otis in a number of different roles. And I said, let's figure out what this looks like. I think we could do this. I think we could do this as well or better than maybe some others out there. We know a lot of the goods and we know some of the bads that
Sure.
different we've seen over the years with different companies, and how can we take our ideas and our ways to a different level and build something that we're proud of and build a very strong platform for our customers and make sure that we keep that as our emphasis. So really kind of put together a plan. Again, with my time working in private equity, I had an opportunity to meet quite a few different private equity groups over the years, and really just kind of did a reach out campaign to say, here's what we're looking to do, and we'd love to talk to you about it. If you have any interest, we'd love to talk to you. We were very pleasantly surprised with the amount of interest. I
Wow.
think
Yeah.
the elevator industry, yeah, the industry itself, I think, is very desirable for a
True.
lot of the private equity groups. It's reoccurring revenue of maintenance. It's a pretty protected business, as I just said, with the economy going up and down. You still have a lot of regulations that require work to be done and some type of elevator work to always be taking place. And so I had a number of meetings with quite a few different groups, and ultimately settled on working with a company called Gage Capital out of Dallas, Texas, and great group of people. Really loved their vision for the company and what we wanted to do. They totally agreed with our direction and what we were looking to do, and really had kind of the right setup for us and to help us grow the business and be partners with us on how we were going to do that. So we were very lucky to find them and be able to work with them. And again, it's been about a year. Hard to believe that it's been about a year since we've started, but it's been a great start.
Yeah, and you've acquired, what is it, 5 companies at this point? 5.
So we've fully acquired 4 at this
Okay.
point. We've acquired 2 in Florida and 2 in Arizona.
Okay.
So we've kind of got coastal operations right now, but have every expectation to kind of continue at that same pace. You know, we did that in about 9 months where we had those acquisitions, and you know, a lot of it comes to the market. What companies are out there and interested in looking for a partner. You know, we're not looking to. We call it, it's definitely a partnership for us. Like we want founder-backed companies, and we want companies that we'd love for the founders to stick around and continue to work with us, because we feel and we found that that's one of the best advantages of doing this, is to keep their expertise and knowledge involved. And so we asked them to stay on and partner again with us. You know, they're allowed to invest in the platform and be part of the overall larger business that we're building. You know, it's kind of now where we say, where are the right places for us to be? What are the right locations that we want to be in? And, you know, what type of companies are out there that are looking for support and help, and the things that we can come to offer them to help them grow their business as well.
Yeah. So a minute ago, you talked about kind of bringing, you know, what we know, bringing our, you know, the things we've learned to, you know, to this, you know, the industry, as it were, as a new player. I'm curious, what do you see as kind of the value you're creating with Axxiom? What's the niche, that spot where maybe it's not being served, or maybe not in the way that you and Ed see as needs to be?
Well, I think the customer side of this business, and I've talked a lot about that already, but I think at some point we've lost a little bit of focus. The industry lost a little bit of focus on what we're here to do and what we're about. And you know, I'm not going to point any fingers at any other companies out there, but I think in general, you know, we've seen a lot of companies go to, you know, less maintenance visits, maybe trying to use technology to help with the service related business, and you know, help the customer maybe with less shutdowns is part of their desire, and be able to diagnose issues before they become big problems. And again, in those situations where they're able to do that, that's terrific. But it also, in some cases, has come at a lack of attention to the customer, and a lack of maybe hands-on visits to the equipment and to the customers themselves. So, you know, one thing that we're very adamant about is, you know, to give our customers the level of service that they anticipate. So, you know, we let customers decide, do you want monthly visits? Do you want quarterly visits? How do you want your business structured? How would you like it? And, you know, we, you know, surprisingly, not very surprisingly, but they like monthly visits. They like people to show up. They like to see their technician. And so a lot of our business is structured around that, so that the customer gets what they want, and we're not dictating to them what we feel is best for them. They can choose that. And trying to do the things that we talked about earlier, the phone callbacks and the very close touches. You know, our sales structure is set up so that we have people full-time dedicated to calling people back and making sure that they know, you know, that somebody's there to discuss their things, while we also have others who are dedicated to business development and actually being out, the account executives who can actually be out talking to customers about the products, and really trying to develop a program so that we don't lose sight of our customers' needs. And again, I think a little bit of this is what others would say too. So it's really about implementation and process, and making sure that you execute what you say. It's all about the execution day.
Well,
So
I like the thought of letting the customer choose. Do they want you there every month, every other month, every 6 months, every year? Because I think some of the rub that I hear, and I'm not working in the field, so all I do is hear. I talk to a lot of people that if a customer is expecting every month, but we're only going to go there once or twice a year, that's a huge miss on expectations. But if somebody can sign up for, and maybe they pay extra because they want more frequent touches, but just being upfront about, okay, here's what we said we're going to do, and here's what we're going to, here's the
yeah,
agreement, and just doing it. So there's no just the confusion about, well, they said regular, systematic, but I don't see any. I don't see them.
yeah. But yeah, and what is systematic, right? I think ultimately, is it every month? Is it every other month? Is it 2 times a year, right? And I think that's the
Sure.
challenge, is that in some cases, I think certain elevators have been determined that they don't need service very much, and they only need someone to come a couple times a year, which very well may be true with the newest equipment, computer-based software, and it runs pretty well, and they don't necessarily need a lot of hands-on. But if the customer expects you to be there every month and you're not showing up, that's a
Sure.
big problem. And so having those upfront conversations, being very open, and I think being their elevator expert, which we discussed, but I tell people, I tell my reps, go out there and say, look, if they've got a brand new elevator, let's not charge them X per month. Let's tell them, hey, you don't need me here every month. A quarter's fine, and you should not have to pay the same amount for that. So let's figure out how that works. And so we try to do all those different things to make sure the customer understands that what they're getting, and an upfront company that's gonna put their needs first. And it's not necessarily a differentiator in the sense of everybody probably says they do that. Everyone probably tries to do that. I think, like I said, it's about executing and actually having the customers understand that.
Right. Right. Well, like you said earlier about calling people back, right? If they know they're cared about, if they know that they're important enough that you're going to, take the time to explain things, and they're not. I think one of the big misses I see is just that a gap in communication. If I'm assuming
Mhm.
X and you're assuming Y, and there's this gap between the two, well, I'm making up all kinds of stories in my head about why you're not showing up, and it's not that I think I'm being cared about. It's quite the opposite usually. What are some of the biggest challenges of kind of starting from zero? I mean, obviously you bought existing branches, companies, but really the overall corporate structure you had to create.
Right, right. We did. I mean, starting out with a great group, starting out with, Ed Stahowiak as my COO, and we have Rick Morris as a CFO, both people who have great background in the elevator industry. We now have Brad Simmons, who came on just a little bit later, as our chief people officer.
Right.
And then we've been very, very lucky to be able to add Doug Hebner as our West Coast vice president, who has 25, 26 plus years in the industry, and Mike Ramandanes
Sure.
as our East Coast vice president, who again has held many high level positions within Schindler and Otis, and worked with me at Kone as well. So we've got a great kind of management team in place right now. Been able to surround ourselves with really good people to be successful, lots of experience. And then I think when you're looking at this lots of acquisitions and really combining this business together, we wanted to really make sure that we were able to utilize this knowledge that we were ultimately paying for. But
Sure.
I felt like too often when you purchased a company and then acquired and tried to merge them into the business, they still stayed very secluded. So we've been doing things to really try to bring the branches together so that they can work with each other, introducing them with each other, making sure that we know kind of the key people in each office who's very good at what type of equipment to be able to troubleshoot.
Sure.
We've added some technical support resources at the national level so that if our supervisors or technicians in the field have questions, they have people to call that are very, very knowledgeable in a number of different types of equipment, so that so they have another layer of support. So all those, I think, things have tied to battling the change management issues you always have anytime you would bring a new way or a
Right.
new kind of idea to a new company, right? So most of the companies all the companies that we're acquiring were, they're privately held companies who have been running
Right.
the business for X number of years and have done it a certain way. And in many cases, we're not trying to change those ways, but we're trying to put together processes and plans in place to help them grow and to help them manage it maybe a little bit differently and hopefully a little bit better than they had before.
Right.
And that way, they can be more successful. And in some of our operations, we've quadrupled the number of teams doing modernization work, and
Wow.
we've
Yeah.
grown the maintenance base, been able to help grow the maintenance base significantly. And we're putting the systems in place, the back of house systems, because a lot of the independent companies out there, some are using some form of an ERP to do maybe electronic time and do that type of thing. We're trying to bring in a system that can help them do all of those types of things, help them on the finance side, and take off the burden of anybody who owns their own business knows that,
Sure.
hey, the financial stuff kills me, the HR stuff kills me. Like, this is the stuff I don't like to do, but I know I have to do to run my own business. Well, if you can come partner with us, let us help support that with our back of house
Right.
business that we have. And now let's let you guys go out and do what you really should be doing is, talking to customers, selling. Some should be fixing elevators, some should be selling elevators, and this is what a lot of the owners really want to do is, put me back into what I really like to do and take off all the business stuff that I don't necessarily want to have to be sitting in an office all day. And that's what we try to bring to the table, give them that
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And that's, I mean, that is something that I hear from business owners that, especially if you're pretty hands on, you're out in the field, you're helping, you're doing, you're coaching, you're selling. And then, yeah, you got 8 more hours of work up to
Mhm.
midnight or whatever, just to get your billing and your collections and, renew your insurance or, what are all those things that need to get done? What do you love most about kind of running your own firm, being in charge?
Yeah. I would say, this first year has been obviously extremely hectic and lots of different things, lots of balls in the air at every given time. Again, the support I have with my team is amazing. And so that is what really keeps us going. I think us building, the relationships we've built over our careers has led to, a camaraderie we have within the business that is unique
Right.
for any startup company. So it's not, while we're a quote unquote startup with a year under our belt, we've got people here that I've worked with, for 20 plus years.
Sure.
And so we kind of know how each other thinks, and that helps out quite a bit. I love the aspect of getting out and talking to other business owners, successful business owners who, are looking for that next phase of their career and their life, having some type of equity event to help them and maybe secure their families and their business and where they're at in life for however many years ahead, if not generations ahead in some cases, and then still be able to participate in helping us grow our business and putting it to the next level. I think that's been really an amazing part of this role. And so, day to day, I can do things that I did in year one of my career, or I'm doing things that I've never done before because, I always had somebody at Otis who did that for me,
Sure.
or, somebody else who did those things for you. And now, running your own business, it's much more like we're going to do it all. We're touching on everything. So, a lot of times people look at a newer business and say, well, that's so much smaller than what I'm used to. And that's
Right.
very true when it comes to the big four and the business they run. But I can promise you, you're going to do things at a smaller business that you've never done before because you just didn't have to. And you're going to learn so much more through that process, that it really is a great kind of career development role to be able to do those types of things. And so I got to see that a lot at Oracle when I was the
Sure.
COO, and certainly seeing even more of that now here, and coming up with the different ways and different things that we can do.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say is your vision for Axiom? What is it you're most hoping to accomplish in, 5, 10, 20, whatever years?
Cool. Yeah, well, and it's funny because I think, people think private equity, well, it's, a couple years and they just want to flip the company and sell. Well, that certainly has some aspect of truth when it comes to any time you're building through private equity. I think the private equity firms have a time frame and have a plan in place that they want to build the business and they want to build a strong business and a business that is profitable and obviously gains value. I think that's what we do. Now, I kind of came into this with a different mentality. I want to build a company that I'm proud of, that we're doing it the right way. We're bringing maybe a fresh approach back to the elevator industry of how to do things. And while there's no promises as you go forward with how things are going to turn out, I have every thought that when it's time for Gage to say, hey, we're ready to move on, we can find another partner to continue to do this with and continue to grow. I would love to be able to stay on and continue to be part of this business, not just with Gage, but with at least one and maybe two other private equity firms or whomever decides to come in at some point and have interest in being partners with us and growing the business. So it's a longer term play for me. I know, again, with most of the people on my management staff, they don't have any intentions of going anywhere in the next couple years, and so we have every hope to continue to grow this. And so as we do partner up with other companies, we tell them flat out, like, hey, we're not going anywhere. At least we don't want to go
Right.
anywhere. It's not our plan, and we hope you're the same. We hope you want to stick with us as well.
Cool. Yeah. What would you say to somebody who's and I talk to a lot of people who they have dreams, aspirations of, hey, I want to build my own at some point. And I also
Mhm.
talk to others who are like, wow, this is hard, right? If I'd have known, maybe I wouldn't have done this. What advice would you give to others who are thinking
Yeah,
about starting their own
yeah.
company?
Well, it's definitely hard. There's no doubt about that. I think be ready to work, harder than you ever have before, and be prepared for that level of commitment that comes with it. I think when I look at these individuals that we're talking to about purchasing their companies, the blood and sweat and tears that have gone into building their business is just so admirable to me, to be able to see, knowing what they put into this to get themselves to where they are. And it's also very gratifying to be part of that moment where it pays off for them, and
Right.
they see the financial benefit of actually what they built turns into something else than just, hey, this is my job for the last
Right.
X number of years. So it's really been a great process. So I think anybody looking at, hey, this might be something I want to do in the future, yeah, I think you keep in mind that, with that hard work, with that time, with that dedication, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, although it may be 10, 15, 20 years. It could be much sooner if that's what your plan is and what you want to do. We've talked to a lot of smaller companies that have been doing it for 3 or 4 years and are just saying, hey, I'd still rather like a partner right now. So there are those opportunities for those individuals when they're ready to do those things. But I think back to when I was, just starting out in the career and maybe at 5 or 10 years experience, would I have done something like this back then? And, if I had the financial backing and the support of doing that, I mean, I kick myself for not doing it. At the same time, it's a lot of risk, and with risk comes reward. And I think you've got to be that type of individual who, if you're able to assign that into your head, or you're in a place of life that's comfortable for you, then I wish you all the luck. I think it's a great opportunity for anybody to do it. But just be ready to kind of be ready for anything, and just know there's probably somewhere you land in this industry no matter what happens. And I think
Sure.
that's one of the positive things is uh, that I'm sure you can help a few people find another role somewhere down the road if they need one. But it is always there to kind of have a backstop for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. So we're about out of time. I guess the last question I just want to ask is, what maybe words of wisdom, or what would you share with just kind of the, other business owners, or maybe even the stakeholders in the industry overall, that maybe you feel something you feel passionate about?
Well, we talked a lot about safety today. I mean, I think there's one of those things that we always will want to make the forefront of anything we discuss is staying safe and being prepared for what's out there. So we always need to be part of that. I think the industry that we have here is special. It really allows a lot of people to have a very, very solid, terrific life. Work very hard and have great rewards at the end, meet terrific people, be part of some of these associations that are out there so that you can get out and meet more people because, there's nothing better than going to, an NAEC meeting and getting to see people you haven't seen for 15, 20 years. And again, it's just amazing how you bump into these people over and over again over the years. So definitely partake in those types of situations when they pop up. And yeah, just be a steward to our business because I think ultimately, we all, represent this industry. We want to make sure that we do it well and we promote it to others and we protect it, make sure that we're not allowing different things to come in and change who we are, what we are as a business. So always, participating whenever you can to be an advocate is important. So I guess that's where I'm at in my life, my career when it comes to these things. Very, very proud to be in this industry and certainly, very grateful for everything it's provided to us.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate you being on with me today. It's a lot of fun to get to know you a little bit better and talk about your career, your business, and wish you the best as you keep building it.
Thanks for what you're doing. And again, great to spend some time with you today.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Elevator Careers Podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group, a leader in elevator industry recruiting. You can check us out online at elevatorcareers.net. Please subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.